Now we're going to show how we can add dimensions and how we can fully define sketch by combining dimensions and relations. So let's go to the sketch. Let's create a sketch on the front plane. Let's create a new line like this. Now first, let's create a new relation. Let's click on this point, hold Ctrl and this point here. And let's make those 2 points horizontal, like this. And now we can move this point left to the right, but we can go up and down. If we click on the point, we can see that we have relation horizontal between this point and the origin point. And now we want to define what is the length of this line. So let's go to the Smart Dimension. With Smart Dimensions, we can add dimensions to our entities. So let's click on this one, and now we can just simply click on this line. If we drag in our mouse normal to this line, then we have this dimension. And we can just click here OK if we want this dimension, or we can just type here, for example, 100, and just click OK here, or just hit enter, like this, and OK. And now here we have this dimension, 100 millimeters. If we want to change this dimension, we can just double click here. And for example, we can put it here, 80, and just hit enter, like this, and OK. And now we have here 80 millimeters. If we want to delete this dimension, we can just click here and delete. Now let's go to Smart Dimension again. Let's choose this line. Now let's go with mouse to the left. And now we have this vertical dimension of this line. If we go down or up, now we have horizontal dimension of this line. If we go normal to this line, then we have this dimension. So it's up to you what you want to dimension. So let's leave it 80 and click OK. So now we have here horizontal relation, and we have here the length of this line. So we can't change the length of line anymore. If we look down here, we can see that still we have undefined sketch because our line is still blue. Now the next step, we want to find the angle between this line and this horizontal line here that we don't see, but we're gonna draw it. So let's go here to the line, and now let's choose center line. And let's create a center line like this. So those center lines or construction lines we can use to define our sketches. So let's go to Smart Dimension. Now let's click here on this line and on this line here. And now we can see that we can define an angle between those two lines. Let's click here and let's type in 45 degrees. Hit enter, and this is it. Now if we try to move this line, we can move this line, but we can't change the angle and we can't change the length. Now we have to define the dimension between this line and this origin, because everything must have relation to the origin to get a fully defined sketch. So let's go to the dimensions, and let's click on this point and this point here. And now we have this horizontal dimension. Let's put it here 100 millimeters and hit enter. Let's click OK, and now we can see that our line is black, and we can see that we have fully defined sketch. And this is what we want. So you always want to have fully defined sketch. So this line, horizontal, it's not fully defined. You can see that we can move the point, although this line is black, but the points are blue because we didn't define the length of this line. But this line doesn't affect the sketch, if it's fully defined or not, because it's construction line, and we use construction lines as a help to create a sketch. And now, for example, if we click on this line, and here under options, if we uncheck for construction and click OK, we automatically got undefined sketch. So our line is black, but we can see that we can change the length because this point and this point are blue. Now let's click on this point and let's drag this point to the origin. And here we can see the yellow symbol of the coincident. And let's click it here. And now here we have a coincident relation between the point of the line and the origin. Now let's drag this point to this point here of this line. As well, here we have coincident relation, and now our sketch is fully defined sketch. Now let's create a rectangle. So let's go here. Let's choose corner rectangle. Let's draw a rectangle here, like this. Let's click OK. Let's go to Smart Dimension, and let's put some dimensions here. So for example, we want to put dimension of this line. We can just simply click on this line and add dimension. So this is one way. The second way is that we can click on this point, and we got the same dimension. Okay. Let's delete this, and let's show the third way. So the third way to define the length of this line is to click on this line here and this line here. And now we got this dimension. And let's click OK. Now let's go here and let's define this dimension of this vertical line like this. Now let's click OK and OK. And now our sketch is not fully defined because we can move this rectangle here. So we can click on this point, we can drag this point right here to the origin, and we can just leave it here, and now our sketch is fully defined. Now let's go here and let's go to the circle. Let's choose a standard circle and let's create a circle here, like this, and let's click OK. Let's go to Smart Dimension, and if you want to put a diameter of this circle, we can just simply click on the circle, and here we have a diameter of this circle. And we can change this diameter, for example, to 80, and we can just hit enter. Like this, and OK. And now let's click on this circle, hold Ctrl and this line. And let's make this tangent relation. Like this. And now, for example, we can click on this line, this point here, origin, and let's make this horizontal. And OK. And now our sketch is fully defined. So combining dimensions and relations, you can fully define your sketch. Now let's go to the polygon here. Let's create a polygon like this. Okay, let's see how we can define the dimensions of the polygon. So let's go to Smart Dimension. We can click on this line and this line here. Let's make this dimension to 60, for example. And let's click OK. Now let's make this line, hold Ctrl, and this line, let's make them collinear. Like this, okay. And now let's make this point, hold Ctrl, and this point, let's make it vertical, and okay. And now our polygon is fully defined. And we can see this here, and we can see that our sketch is black. Now let's create a slot. Let's go to slot. Let's go with straight slot, and let's create a slot here. Like this. And now we can see the slot automatically has its dimensions. If we don't like these dimensions, we can just double click here. We can change this, for example, to 80. And we can double click here. We can change this, for example, to 25. Let's click OK. And now we can just click on this point. We can drag this point to this point, this one, and now our sketch is fully defined. Now let's go to the fillet and let's click on the fillet. And here we have a radius of 10 millimeters. Let's click on this point. Let's click OK. And here we can see that we have a dimension of 10 millimeters. Let's click OK. If you want to change this dimension, we can just double click here, this radius, and we can change this, for example, to 5 millimeters. Hit enter, and this is it. And now we have a radius of 5 millimeters. Now let's go here to the center point arc. And let's choose the center point arc. And let's start here with this point. And let's create a center point arc like this. Now let's go to Smart Dimension and let's define radius. Let's go with 60 millimeters like this. And now we can see that our radius is black, but our points are not black. We can still move them. So we have to define an angle. To define an angle, we have to create center line. So let's go here to the line and let's choose center line. So let's create a first center line from this point to the center point, like this, and from this point to the center point, like this. And now we can go to Smart Dimension. We can click on this line, and we can define an angle. Let's make this angle 90 degrees, like this, and let's click OK. Still, our sketch is not fully defined because we can rotate this center point arc around this point. So now we have to define the relation or some dimension between this sketch and those fully defined sketch or origin. So for example, we can click on this line, hold Ctrl this line, and let's make those lines perpendicular. like this, and click OK. And now our sketch is fully defined. Now let's select and let's delete this sketch. Now let's go here and let's choose a line. Let's create another line here, like this. And now, for example, if we wanna automatically fully define our sketch, we can go here and choose fully define sketch. Like this, we can choose here entities to fully define all entities in sketch or select entities. Let's go with all entities in the sketch. And we can just click calculate. And now we can see our dimensions, and let's click OK. And now our sketch is fully defined. We can change those dimensions. For example, we don't like this dimension, we can go 200. And let's click OK. So this is how you can automatically fully define your sketch. Now let's delete this dimension here. And now you're working with this sketch. And now you're not sure what dimensions you have to add to get a fully defined sketch. You can also go here, display delete relations, and you can go fully define sketch. And you can apply all entities in sketch, calculate. And now you can see that you automatically got this dimension that is missing. And let's click OK. So always when you create a sketch, you must have fully defined sketch. And you can fully define your sketch by adding dimensions and relations between sketch entities. In this lecture, we're going to show how to create ordinate dimensions. So first, let's create a sketch. Let's go on the top plane. Let's choose a line. Let's make some arbitrary sketch. Something like this. Let's click OK. And now if we want to put some dimensions, we would go here to Smart Dimensions. And here we would put some dimensions here. But if we go here to Smart Dimension tool, here we have this arrow. Let's click on this arrow, and here we have some other options. We can go with horizontal dimension, vertical dimension, and you can do this by using Smart Dimension as well, as we showed before. But here we have ordinate dimension, horizontal ordinate dimension, and vertical ordinate dimension. So first, let's go with horizontal ordinate dimension. So first, let's click on this point here, like this. And now here we have a 0. So this is our 0. And now, for example, if we want to put dimension of this point here, we can just click here and we can drag this here. And now here we can see we have 15.64. If we click on this point here, automatically we have dimension of this point here, 39.76. And this is horizontal dimension from this 0 point here, as we can see. So we can click here now, here, here. And here we have now horizontal ordinate dimensions. Let's click OK. Now if we move this dimension, for example this one, we move all dimensions simultaneously. So this is how you can create horizontal ordinate dimension. If you want to change here the value, you can just double click here. Let's put it here 100 millimeters, like this. Let's click OK. If you want to delete them all, you can select them like this and delete. Now let's go here to Smart Dimension. Let's go now with vertical ordinate dimension. So this is the same thing. Let's go with this point, and here we have 0. Now we can click on this point. Here we have 31.01. We can go this point, or we can click this line, like this. Let's click OK. And now as well, if you want to move those dimensions, we can just click here, and we can drag this. Or if we want to delete, we can select one and delete. Like this. Now let's delete them all. Like this. Let's go here and let's choose ordinate dimension. Now let's choose this line for a 0, like this. Now let's click on this point. And now as you see, we don't have horizontal or vertical dimension. Now we can click on this point here. We can click on this line here, like this. This doesn't work. Now let's click on this point here. You can click on this point here as well. Let's click OK. And here we have our ordinate dimension. We can also move this. If we want to delete some dimension, we can just click on this dimension, for example, and hit delete. And this is it. So this is how you can use ordinate dimensions.